seems so cool. Can you hear my music? That's another question. And type that in at the end of all this stuff that you're saying. Okay. So you asked the question if there's a way to automatically upload them, and I don't know. But when I'm normally looking at something like this, trying to figure it out, the first thing I'll do is say like apartments.com, either integration or API or Salesforce, because sometimes they're already pre-built and you don't have to do much. looks like there is a possibility to do it. Yeah, there is a possibility to do it. We I don't know if I might have to contact them for some documentation on it, but yeah. Just overall, it's going to be kind of complicated because you have to write code. Like it's not like a plug and play type of thing, but a lot of other companies, when they do this, they do have, you know, like plug and play stuff, which is pretty cool. But anything's possible. Put your mind to it. So anyways, what do you want to focus on today? I know we had this long list of this stuff. I've answered some of this. I think I've answered this. So I'll mark it off. Where's the strike through? Is this it? Where's the strike? I know it's here. I've used it many times. Is it not in this dummy version of tools format? There it is. Why isn't it on here? Alright, we'll do this. Sweet. Alright, we'll go through this. I've been thinking about this question a lot. Every time I read it, I hinge on this question because I don't know if it needs to be explained deeply or not. And maybe I just need to explain it, and it may just be figuring it out the one time. Okay, so what is your understanding of the sales path versus the sales process? It seems to me that the process is only the list of the different steps in a path, and the path is only the order in those steps. Could you clarify this if you're wrong? Generally, this is correct. But I want to make some things at least abundantly clear with the sales path versus the sales process, specifically with the sales path. So when we talk about sales path or path in general, we'll do sales path to get started with. Sales path is this. It's literally this feature, this bar here that was created by Salesforce. Actually fairly recently, I would say within the last year or maybe 2 years, they added in this bar with this button that you control, that you can change your stages with. And this can kind of be run on any different pick list, and used to like be different stages or statuses, whatever you want to call it. But this can run off of any pick list. And it's a path, period. It doesn't specifically have to be a sales path, it's a path. And you configure this in the setup. I actually think I have a custom one in there too. If you go to path settings, there's the standard path, which is on opportunities. I don't know if it's on any other objects. It might be on the lead by standard, but I know it's on the opportunity standard. And then you can create your own paths. So you create a new path. Let's say we're gonna create this one on the lead path. I don't know. So you select your object, and you can change them based on the record type, and you can use any of the different pick list values that you have there. So it's not just the status field. Normally they're on the status fields, and it makes sense because it's a path, you want to follow it. And when you have opportunity, when you have statuses or stages, they follow in some sort of sequence, but really you can do it on any field here. So like if you're doing rating for lead, medium, I don't know, it's probably like hot, cold, medium, whatever. Next up, for the path, you get to add in different fields, different sections underneath here. And I'll probably do this on the opportunity so it makes more sense. But just so that you understand at least this first part, it is not only for stages or statuses. It can be on any field regardless, and it doesn't have to be just for sales. It's for it can kind of be for anything. Normally it's set up for things that are set in a sequence. All right, and then really quickly, is this the one, is this the default one? I think it's the default one. Actually, I think I can check. This is definitely the default one. Okay, and then one really cool thing with the paths that you can add in that really helps out with I guess guiding for salespeople. You have this section which is the guidance for success, and in here you can, on this side, add fields in that are important for that specific stage. I'm at least keeping it on stage because this is stage. I'm saying stage because this is the path that's run on stage on the opportunity. So for prospecting, whenever you're prospecting, there's a couple important fields that you want to select, and one of those is probably like primary contact. So when you're, my music just turned off. Oh, since I've been talking for 30 seconds straight. What is this? How do I turn this off? My Spotify turned off. What the heck? I'm yapping my mouth too much. I gotta put on push. I hate this. I hate this. I think I'm playing stuff through my speaker or whatever. It's gay. All right. Anyways, I'll try to take pauses. For specific sections, you for specific stages, you will have fields that are more important than others. So when you're prospecting, you want to put in, you want your person to focus on the primary contact. And this is just an example. When you're qualifying a lead or an opportunity, you want to make sure that you're getting, I don't know, description and your amounts. And then over here, you can have guidance for success, and that's just leading people through the process, saying like, in this stage, you should finalize the amount that they are going to pay. And then I'm gonna skip through it, and then in this screen you can do like confetti, which is weird but cool. So now if I refresh and go to those two, there'll be little fields on there. Oh yeah, see? Yeah, you can just tell me to shut up after if you know the rest of the stuff. The primary contact are the key fields. There's this, those things that we added, and then there's the guidance for success. So cool. That is the sales path, but the sales process, that's just the collection of stages that is required to complete a sale or your sale for your company. So one sales process, let's say that we are, I don't know what kind of company this is, but let's say this, for when we're selling project X or item X, we go through this. That's one specific sales process. When we're selling item Y, we're going to be selling a different thing. And the example that I have that I've been working on for you with this is car sales. And it's leasing versus buying a car, and the different stages that you'll go through versus leasing versus buying a car. And we might get into that if we do this now. But at least on the surface, does the sales path versus the sales process make sense? Cool. So we'll strike this one off. You die. Alright, you want to do this one? This can be a little involved, but I'll try to do it semi-quickly. And it depends on how much time you have. I'm actually off all this week, so I was going to work on a ton of content. And I was going to work on the videos for these too, but since we're going through some of these. And I'm gonna bump this one up to kind of be involved here. Ooh, and this one too. Oh, that one, no. Okay. But let me know. We can do this one. It won't take too long. I can run through it kind of quickly and go over some of the process with you. Well, now I need to know what you want to do. You want to run through this one? It's simple as that. It's a yes or no question. Alright, oh, sorry, I didn't see that up there. Sorry, you typed and deleted. I get that sales is an app, but not an object. Yeah, that one. Where it was this one. Okay. The scenario that we're gonna run with for this for the stage part A. Part A is that we are a car sales company. And as of right now, we only sell cars via financing or cash, no leases. I don't know if that makes sense. No leasing. That's at least the baseline. That's our company, and we're gonna strictly focus on the opportunity and the sales. Well, create a process for an object. So I guess we'll do it all. We'll do it all from start to finish. No big deal. If I'm going too fast, tell me to stop, and if you need me to explain anything, like, just let me know. Okay, so as always, we start out with needing a couple key things, and whenever you're a company in general, you generally have leads, accounts, contacts, and opportunities to start out with. Your leads are your people coming in, your accounts and your contacts are the people. So I wanted you to know the bold steps are the main process and only steps within a general process, huh? For this one, I just wanted to know if the bold steps are the main / only process within a general process. Create a process for an object. Create a record type for an object that stores a process within the record. So if we want to talk about generally, Yeah, I'll say yes and no. It depends on the business. There's one key part that I want to hit on here, and it's about the record types and the process. In that you don't always need to create record types, and you don't always need to create multiple processes. The once we'll finish. I will not go over the leads part as of right now, and just skip to the opportunities part, where I'll start to explain the differences between that, and then if we need to, we'll go back to the leads. So skipping ahead, opportunities are generally what they use to sell stuff and track what they're selling. So if you're a company and all you do is sell cars, then you need to get when we line up our stages, we need to get our the different steps in the process for selling your cars. I'm thinking about actually opening up this, whatever this is called, this sandbox, so I don't gut the other one too much, or this playground org. Let's do that. And then I am going to customize the stages in this opportunity process of buying a car, just so I get some idea. And at least the first step is to customize or create a sales process. And that sales process will have multiple opportunity statuses with it. Is it in here? Yes. So we don't have an existing sales, or even I don't have to. Okay, this goes into like the full thing of sales processes completely. If your company is simple enough, and all you do is sell cars regularly, there's a default sales process that you can use without having to create additional ones. The same things with record types. There's just a blanket master record type, I'm using air quotes, that exists. And if you don't need to, you can just use that specific one. You don't have to name it something. You don't have to give it anything. You're just using the baseline the default sales process, and you're using the default opportunity status fields. Bless you. Bless you. Does that make sense? Like you don't always need to create additional sales processes and things like that if you don't have to. Sweet. Correct. There's a default sales process. There's default record types for every record you create. There's a default for every object you create. There's a default record type. It's just called the master record type, the master sales process, the master everything. And those just exist from the beginning. That's why when we look at an opportunity now, we're not selecting a record type here to pick from, and we already have these stages in here that are just defaulted in here. Once you start having different or needing different selections based on the way that you sell your product, you'll end up creating sales processes and record types. All right, so in that sense, once we start doing if our example is this car selling and not doing leasing, and all we're doing is, let's say we're going through this process, this is more for an individual, but whatever. I guess we can do selling and buying cars. Yeah, that'd be good. Okay, so let's just drop these in. Ugh, I gotta do them individually. I hate this. So if our idea is for, I think this was for buying, the process for buying a car, these would be all of our stages. And this is all that our company is right now. And all I'm doing is dropping them in. What was my last one at? Correct. Let's do this. I don't know if there's a way to batch create these. Oh, I should have been pressing save and new. Okay, and then let me deactivate all of these. I think I can middle click to deactivate these. Last night. Nope. Oh. Okay, so if all my company was to buy cars right now, I would have an opportunity, call it probably like 2019 Toyota, I don't know, Corolla? How do you spell that? Sure. And then it starts out in researching. Let's say we want to close this next month. Blah, blah, blah. You know, you fill in the details and you move it along this sales path. That's all this is. It's called the sales path. You don't even need to, like, you can take this off the layout and it wouldn't exist because it didn't exist a year ago. So I'm just going onto the layout and I'm deleting this. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. But when we, I removed, not deleting, I removed the sales path, that little, that arrowing section that was here before. You know, that's literally all that thing is called. But it's not like, it didn't take away from the stages that still exist. Like, this is the order for the stages. You go through all of this stuff and then you hit close one at the end. So the stages still exist. All that sales path is just a different representation of this. So that's baseline. If my company, if our process of buying the cars was, or sorry, if our process was selling the cars was inside of Salesforce, then we would then go through the steps to add an additional sales process and maybe even record types to have different information on the pages. Does that make sense? Because that's the distinction. That's when we would need to move into the steps of adding in a sales process and adding in an additional record type. I'm going to be right back while you type that. So let's say that we've gone a couple years of just buying cars inside of Salesforce. Now we want to sell cars inside of Salesforce. What do we need to do? In the selling cars, let's see the process of selling cars. Selling a car. Let's see if this one has like some really easily drawn out steps. Collect paperworks. Yeah, this is perfect. Here are all the steps we need to take. So what would we do to incorporate that into our CRM process so that when we buy a car, we can then flip to selling a car? All right, let's do that. I think I've actually been on this website before. Any minute now. Let's go with 50. So are these steps only on the opportunity object or an all object? This is only on the opportunity object. We are any fields that you update or any pick lists that you update, stages that you update, they are generally only on that specific object. So I'm updating the opportunity stages. Excuse me. If we go to the lead stages, they're going to be exactly what's, they're not going to be what this is. It's going to be whatever's on the lead. So all of them are self-contained. Yes is the word. Come on. This is this is taking a while. I hope the other ones are loading. Let's do 90. Okay, so now that we have our additional, these are the steps that we'll take in selling our car. I'll wait until you finish typing. I don't want you to delete. You could technically have any object go through a process. Should they be the same? No. So your process for your leads should be different from your process for your opportunities. in your process for anything else, because your lead, your when you're using the lead object is for a specific purpose. When you're using your leads, that anything that's in the leads object should be used for qualifying a potential buyer. So what does that mean? A lead means this, you think this could be a potential buyer. It's somebody that's either, in our case, like if we own a car dealership, or let's say we're selling our car, or no, let's say we're buying a car. Well, no, that reverses around. Let's say that we're a car dealership. A lead is somebody that walks in the door or calls on the phone and asks, hey, do you have this XYZ car? So it's just a potential buyer. And what you want to do during your lead process is make sure that they're for real. So you're on the phone with them, you want to make sure, get their name, their number, all of that good information to move them through that lead process. And that's different for every different company. In this sense, when we're talking about qualifying a lead for cars and buying a car for a dealership, that just means like you didn't just buy like a brand new car, like you're a legit, you have some sort of income that you can actually buy a car, or you have cash, like the things that makes them know like, hey, we're not going to be wasting our time talking to you, because that's what you don't want to talk to people that are just wasting your time. So that's what you want to do during the lead. When you use a lead object during the lead phase, when you convert them over to an account and a contact, then they're past that qualification. Like they're not just like a prank, or they're not just wasting your time. That's when they turn into an account and a contact. And from an account and a contact, you'll have different opportunities. So that same person that came over from a lead, they get converted into an account, a contact, and an opportunity. And that specific opportunity may just be selling it may not be selling any specific product, but it may just be researching to sell a product. So they've walked in through the door and they've said that they want to buy a car, but they don't know which car they want to buy. So the first phase of the opportunity stage, if we're a car dealership, may just be researching on the floor to see what they want. So getting to know, do they want a truck? Do they want a car, 4-door, 2-door, sporty, mom van, things like that? So, and that information may be captured during the lead phase, but it definitely needs to be known at the opportunity, because that's when you're selling your actual product at the end of the day. So yes, they are specific to each object, and for the lead, all of those stages may have been like name, phone number, getting general information, finding out their income, and just different stages. And then when you get to the opportunity, it's more like, hey, what car do they want? What type of financing do they want to do? So 5 years, 10 years, whatever. And the other steps that goes into actually sealing the deal. Does that make sense? Yeah. And these things can be on anything. So by default, Salesforce has statuses on the, or I think they're called statuses on the lead and stages on the opportunity. But you could go into any object and create a field called status or stage. And if your business calls for it, you'll put a status on the accounts. So in the dealership example, a status could be potential customer, and like looking to buy, former customer if they didn't buy, something like that. So just an overall stat. Generally, accounts are just overall information. So you'll have that type of high level information on the account. but it would be completely different from the opportunity, lead, and the accounts. And then really quick to finish out this example of our opportunities. So now let's just put a dash buying. So let's say that we have bought this Toyota Corolla and it's sitting on our garage. So let's close one. It's closed one. We bought it. Nailed it for $500. Now we want to sell this Corolla in Salesforce. So that's one opportunity. We bought it. And now we have another one. We want to sell. Selling. And we want to sell it for $600. Not making too much of a profit. It's probably not too worth it. So we're looking at all of the current way that we have our stages set up. And in our first list, we have a bunch of stages. We have our selling stages, and then below it, we have our, the first section, we have our buying stages, and then underneath it, we have our selling stages. So what can we do to organize this better so that when we are on our selling opportunity, we don't see our buying stages? I've been noticing on the videos I say our and not our, so I'm trying to work on that. So if I correct myself, that's why. All right. I've got this opportunity. We just bought our Corolla. Is this how you spell Corolla? Corolla. Oop. Now we want to sell this, right? We have this Corolla that we want to sell. When we look at our stages, we still have all of these stages in here that are for buying the car, but we only want to see these that are for selling the car. So how do we do that? How do we fix that? So remove the pick list values from the selling stage. All right, we'll try it out. So you're saying I shouldn't have given it away. But you, the first idea you had, which it's a valid idea, is to come into the stage and delete or deactivate these, or delete them. Yep. So that's the main reason why we wouldn't want to do that. So our selling opportunity and our buying opportunity uses the same, that's not the right one. It uses the same field. We don't want to have a separate stage dash selling and stage dash buying because we can use the same one. And when we're looking at this, there it's all on in the top section. We're for our buying, we can use these are the values we want. For our selling stage, we want the ones below here, down here. So this is all the same field that we're using. It's just we want a way of filtering the ones that are on this one and filtering the ones that are on this one. So if we want to use the terminology of deleting, we can, but deleting in the sense that you don't want it to be here. Okay, but you're saying remove them. So tell me how you would remove them then. Okay, make them invisible. Sure. Tell me how to do it. Or wait, weren't we supposed to flip it last time? You were supposed to do this stuff. Here, look. Here, because this is the problem we had last time. I think I can give you access to this board. I'm gonna create a new user. Let me get your email, and I won't show people your email. Yeah. All right, you should have it, an email for it. So if you want to share your screen, you can do that, or you can kind of tell me what you're doing, and I can walk you through what you're supposed to be doing. And this should be your username, by the way. BT Dubs. Yeah. All I wanna do is what I do well. And if you don't know what that plus sign is, you need to watch this video that I made like last week. Hashtag promotion. Whoa. I can see your screen. Yeah. So show me what you would do to show specific stages for one type of opportunity, which we have buying ones, and the other type of opportunity, which we have selling ones. Don't give me a frowny face. And so the one thing I guess that would help if we were on a phone call is for you to go through your thought process of what you're trying to do. Because I know what you're trying to, I'm pretty sure I know what you're trying to do, but I can't hear you think about it to help guide you through the rest of it. Um, but the one of the areas I know you're looking to try to filter, or for an area to try to filter those two different types of opportunities or processes that you need to get done. Yeah, the first set, or no, sorry, the second set is the selling stages. So everything after the close loss is what we need to do when we're selling something. All right. And back to the overall reminder of the overall question that we're focusing on is that we are trying to figure out when we need to create sales processes and record types versus not needing them. So, can I draw on this? Can I annotate? We might need to use Zoom. Because I can draw on your screen if we use Zoom. Oh, I don't think we can. I can draw on your screen if we use a free version of Zoom. Anyways, um, when you're looking at the opportunity stages, I don't know if you can still see my screen. The overall process that we're trying to do when we're using, or the point at which we know we're going to start needing an additional record type or an additional sales process is when we need to show things um, versus two separate types of processes that we're doing. So in one self-contained process, we need to sell stuff, and those require specific stages here. And then in one self-contained process, we need to buy stuff, which are these. But it's all incorporated under the opportunity as an opportunity stage. All of it is like whether you're selling stuff or whether you're buying stuff, it has to go through stages, and that's both of those are called opportunities for your company. You know, both of those are ways that your company is going to make money, in air quotes. So what I would do for you is this is the idea that, or the area that you need to start, or the trigger in your mind that you need to start noticing. Okay, we're not just only selling cars. and having that one simple process in there, we have two completely separate processes. So I'm going to create a record type that can separate the information completely. So for you, oh, I can see you typing in real time now. Correct. You need to create record types to control. There you go. All right. So create the record types, and we're gonna split these. We're gonna split these processes. So twist it up. Twist it up inside. Ah, we reach a stalemate. And then no, yeah, that's what we need to create record types, and for an opportunity, you have to create sales processes to create additional record types, at least one. I'm pretty sure you're allowed to use that on the screen on the stream. This just becomes an 18 plus. Plus, nobody can see that text anyway, so. Yeah, you gotta have the advertising friendly. Well, I mean, I'm kicking myself for being homophobic earlier. It's just bad habits. I've been playing Gears of War lately. Gonna have to edit that one out. Yeah. Playing with Corey. Every once in a while I'll slip up. I'm human. Oh, see, now I can see all the text that you're deleting. Correct. And this is only for the opportunity and the lead object. And those are the only two objects that have processes in air quotes. Other than that, the rest of them you can create record types anytime you want without needing a process. But that's just a specific Salesforce quirk. Let's just say for opportunities and leads, you need a process to create a record type. But go ahead, like that what we need is a record type, because we can use a record type to filter down the stage pick list. So if we have to create a process for that, we're going to do that. Good enough for me. And you'll work at different companies that will, let's say, allow funny, like interesting stuff and like descriptions like that. Okay, so you tell me what to do here. Here, you got the resources. because you'll get projects, or you may get projects similar to this. Everything might not be set up. You know, your company may start out with a new apartment selling process where they're like, hey, we're now, you know, these are the new steps that we need to take. It needs to be our original process needs to stay the same, but these are the new stages that we need to be able to select from. Glory day. Ugh. One, I'll let you finish it before, and have you come back to it just for fun. You're like, oh damn, what is he talking about? What's the last thing? Okay, we have a buying process. You don't have to be a stranger. All right, it's looking good. Let's check our opportunities. Okay, really quickly. I know I told you before that we needed a record type. Why? No, it's not that you're getting it wrong. I want to make sure you know why you need a record type here. And it's literally the same, like everything that we've talked about. It's all like the filtering of the records and how they're, what values that we're looking at. It's all the same thing, but when we go to look at these opportunities for buying and selling, if we look at the stages, they still have everything on here. You know, they're not being, it's not being filtered down yet. And we need a record type to filter these down. Because right now these are technically on the master record type, and they're on everything. So I want to make sure that you understand, not like there's sometimes you don't always have to create one. Right. Well, yes. And it is, I don't want you to get hung up on who views it, but it is technically who views it. So the fields are restricted by record type, by sales process. The users kind of have nothing to do with it, even though at the end of the day they are seeing it. That may just be a complicated way of saying it. You are correct. When it boils it down, it's the users who see it. So yeah, that's fine. But when we dive into like super advanced types of conversations, which we're not getting into now, it's the sales process controls the sales process controls the fields that you see, and the record type controls the sales process that you're using. So once you set the record type for the record, that's going to be based on what you see. And then once again, you're not giving the users the appropriate record type. You're giving the record the appropriate record type. So you're going to set this selling opportunity to the selling record type. You're going to set this you're going to set this selling opportunity to the selling record type. You're going to set this buying opportunity to the buying record type. That will change what the users see. There's a so go and create the record type. It's one of the processes in there. It's one of the steps in there. And then real quick, one last thing before, if you want to watch my screen before you create those record types, and that'll tie into what the people actually see. So right now we have no record types for the opportunity. We are a system admin user. When we hit new, it just gives us a specific opportunity. It doesn't say, hey, do you want to do a buying or do you want to do selling? It doesn't say anything like that. It's defaulted to whatever master, in air quotes, whatever the default one we have access to, and that one has everything on here. So now go ahead and create the first record type. You can call it buying, it's fine. So down here, you're selecting which profiles have access to that record type. So if you had, let's do the custom sales profile. If custom sales could only have access to, what are we creating? Buying? If custom sales if they were only buying, that's all they did. All their job was just buying for their profile. We would set that up for them specifically. Like, we don't have to give them access to the selling record type if they don't need it. And that's like a control factor that we can have. If you're somebody who needs both sides of it, say you had selling specific reps and buying specific reps, then you could only give them access to the selling one, and you could only give them access to the buying one. That specific way in the process that you're in selecting the profiles. Sure. Yeah, we can pretend to do that for the custom sales profile, and turn it off for the standard user, and then you can leave it on for system admin, and then hit next. So one other note here while we're on the page layouts, you can have specific page layouts per record type. What does a page layout do? Semi-correct. It controls what they view. I guess that is correct. We'll keep it as all correct. It does control what they see and who can see it. Yeah, I think it's the wording that throws me off, but it's just because you haven't, like, depending on ultra specific situations, you may run into issues if we say things specifically that way. But it's good for when you're learning. I know you know what you're talking about, for the most part. I think it's the who views it part that grinds my gears. But it, for the baseline, what it does in controlling what you can see, that's pretty much it. So when you want to say, oh, only your, if you have specific fields for your buying versus your selling, you can use the record types to show that. You can use the record types and the page layouts to show that. So which record type did we pick there? I forgot. And then, sorry, which page layout? So we chose the opportunity page layout. Okay, we'll use this as an example once we go to the next one. Yeah, that's fine. And then, like, those are defaulted in there, but sometimes there may not be any there may not be any page layouts other than the, like, to select from at all. So like those other ones that are in there for support and whatever, they may not be in there completely. Reason to change. Yeah, I guess we'll go through an example of where you would need that. Yes. In the real world, most likely. The question is, will you have different fields? Will you need to see different fields on a selling opportunity versus a buying opportunity? Most likely, yes. Yeah. Will a rep that's selling stuff need to have different things to enter in than a rep that's buying stuff? And while you're finishing that up, I'm gonna create a field some fields here just for fun. I'm glad I could be helpful. And then okay, before you create the other one, when we create an opportunity now, if you look on my screen or if you look on your screen, when we create an opportunity now, oh, it's not going to default it in there because we're already on here. Let's see if it's here first. All right, hold on. Because we need, what I'm trying to get at is that we now should have an option to change the record types to one, see the record type and to change the record type. So I'm going to edit the page layout. That gets the page layout. So we have this opportunity record type field now. I'll just throw it in at the bottom. I need to change that too. So on the ones we already had created, we have this 2019 Corolla buying. When we look in the record type field, let's say we try to edit it, we only have one, it's blank. That technically means that it is in the master record type. If there's nothing in there, it's whatever was the default original one, and it's blank because it was created before we had a record type in here. Now when we go to add a record type, it gives us the option for buying. When we look in here, this is before I changed it. When we look in here for the stages, we have the list of everything. What should happen if we change this record type to the buying record type? So what should happen to the stage when we change the record type to buying? Correct. We should only see the values that are included in for that one. So when we look at this now, I'm pretty sure these are the buying ones. Research, finding, yeah, this looks about right. So it already started to switch it over. It brings us to the opportunity record type shows us buying, and it brings us to this particular, it shows us the stages that we wanted to have filtered down. All right, and then one quick, I'll hit save. Cool, so that's done. Our record type is buying. When we look back here and we hit new, if we scroll down, we see that our record type, it didn't give us the option for anything else. When we hit new, it doesn't give us the option for master. It only gives us the option for buying because that's the only record type we have created. So as soon as you create a record type and we don't have any other ones, the master one technically goes away, we'll say, and it gives you the option. It only gives you whatever your default one is. So that's just one like tidbit, I guess, that's in there. So now create the selling record type. I'm doing is adding in. Hey, don't watch me. Oh yeah. Add it to the sales user, or you can add it to support. I don't really care who it is, as long as it's not the same profile. It just has to be a different one. It doesn't matter who it is. It just has to be a different one. It doesn't matter, as long as it's not the I think it was custom sales. Okay, so are we done? Yep, it looks like we're done. Right, so when you go, yeah, you can go to all opportunities and go to that selling opportunity. Description, it worked. We're the best. GG easy. Right, so are your stage values the correct values that you need it to be? Real quick. Or okay. Yes, they are correct. I would say you're missing two things. The first one is that how do you know when this deal is won for your selling? All right, I guess I put that one in. That's kind of wrong, but generally you like to keep your closed deals to be the same values overall. So yeah, you should have kept in both of those values, close won and close loss. You can technically create new, once again air quote, new close won and close loss values, and have like additional ones, but it's generally best practice to only keep one set of close won and close loss. So I'll let you struggle through and find where you update that. It's part of the learning process. Ah, see, you didn't even need me to tell you anything. All right. I'm gonna like look back at this org and be like, what the heck was going on here? All right, so it's at the top. Generally, if you're following a process and that's the last stage, you would want those at the bottom. So how do you fix that? It's all about attention to detail. Let me get some lead statuses too. I'm gonna give you some objectives. One is gonna be to order the selling process, close one and close loss to be at the bottom. Two, selling record type, I want the lead source to equal web, phone, and partner. For buying, purchase list, lead source, purchase list, and other. And then three, for selling, I want to show selling only. I want to show selling location. I think buying only. I want to show KBB amount. And just so you know, this is not a wild goose chase. Of course, there is a way to sort them. You just need to figure it out. You're getting warmer. You're like on fire. You're literally explode. Oh no, you. You're super hot. Nope, nope. Oh. You're literally lava. You're lava. Oh, you're getting colder. You're getting colder. Oh, you're getting warm. Oh, you're on fire. You're literally exploding with heat. You're like the sun. I would just press all the buttons there. Just press them all. Kaboom! Put them to the bottom. There you go. That'll order it for everything. Since you're only taking the top section, or you're taking specific sections for each of them, you don't have to like order them any other way. But that'll put them to the bottom for everything. Welcome to Salesforce, where everything is dumb. All right, well, hold on now. Just because you did it, how do you know that it's working? How do you know that it changed anything? Always, always, always check your work. A lot of times you'll be doing stuff in a sandbox and send it over to production, so your work will technically be checked. But you, even in production, double check whatever you're doing at least once. Sweet. Okay. More manipulation of record types as we go really quickly. Unless you want to move on to something else real quick. But there's, and like you can work on those like tomorrow or whenever. But there's those 2 and 3 items to get done. And I'll copy them and put them here. Yeah. So I want for whichever one that I said, selling, for it to be web, phone inquiry, and partner referral. I don't want to see other or purchase lists. Yeah. So I created those fields already. Selling location and KBB amount. So when I'm on the buying record type, I only want to see KBB amount. It could be anywhere. It could be like at the bottom. I don't care where it is. But I want to see KBB amount and I want to see the other one for selling. I want to see selling location for selling. Yeah, we can go through these to go full circle to finish out the trifecta of sales process. I was saying we can finish these last 2 tasks to finish out the trifecta of sales process, record types, and page layouts. Hopefully solidifying a little bit better what all of them are for. Blah, 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 blah. So we have, I think this kind of went hand in hand. Do sales processes always use stage slash only stage? This definitely relates to questions two. Technically, yes, the sales process is only on one pick list value, which used to drive the sales process. But there's nothing stopping you, and many companies do it, from having a sub stage or sub status pick list that relate to each of the individual processes. So let's just call this status, or no, sub stage, because we're working on the opportunity. And think of some sub stages for research. I don't know. So when you're researching, how do we break that down even further? Let's say we're Googling, and we can just pick two. Googling and watching YouTube videos. And we'll do like a couple more. Oh, this is the long list. Whatever. Finding finances or financing. What are some like when we are finding financing, what are we doing in that sense? We're calling banks. And what else do we do? Get a quote. Okay. Take your time. We don't need sub stages, so I guess we'll show that. Negotiation. When we're negotiating, what are some sub stages of that? Let's just say walking away, because that's always a good thing to have. But that's probably like close loss, but whatever. We'll just keep it for now. What's something else when we're negotiating? Comparing prices. And then take precautions. We don't need that. Determine payment amount. Consider other. We'll just use these for now. All right, so even though a sales process is only on one, here's our substage. Even though a sales process is only on, you're only allowed to use one pick list, which is generally, it's only the stage pick list actually. You can't use any other ones. You can have something like a sub stage. So if we're in finding financing, then we are also, like, to add more detail, you would say something like calling banks, right? So these two, you can break it down so that it has more definition, and then you can even write validations that say, hey, you can't move out of the, you can't move to the next stage without being at a certain, like, get without your sub stage being a certain stage, if that makes sense. So you can't move into the next section until getting your substage has qualified and got everything. Yes, you can make the substage appear for certain stages. Have you done this yet? Have you done dependent pick lists? And it's fine if you didn't. I'll show you how to do it really quick. It's pretty easy. What I'm gonna do is put these next to each other so they make a little bit more sense. And then if we go to fields, there are dependent pick lists, or I'll slow it down. Field dependencies. So when we go on here, we can make a pick list. You know, we can make dependent pick lists. So I'll hit new, and we pick our controlling field. So that's the one. Our controlling field is the overarching category that we're going to be using, or the one that controls the dependencies. So I'll hit stage is our controlling field, and then our dependent field will be substage. Hit continue. So now it loads up this panel. Ooh, 16 values, fun. And this is where we can include and exclude values that will show up based on the whatever the controlling field has. So if we are in research, we want Googling and watching YouTube videos to show up, we'll include them. When we're finding financing, we want calling a bank and getting a quote to be there. And then when we are negotiating, we want the we want these to show up. And we can preview it here. Brought it up in this little box. So when we hit researching, only these two are showing up. When we hit finding financing, these, and then if it doesn't have any, it doesn't show. And I'll just save this. Yeah, so very useful when you have controlling and non-controlling values. Did I save this? Where's my substage? Oh, it's not underneath it. So now when we hit view dependency here, and we can see it's the same thing. It just looks cleaner. Okie dokie. So does that make sense? Yes, a sales process always has to be on the stage, in its opportunity stage, or for lead, it's the lead status, for the lead process, whatever it's called. But you can create your own process that incorporates sub stages or sub statuses with it. Blip. Okay, is there a difference between, we already figured this one out, correct or not correct? Is there a difference? Is it whatever, you know grammar better than me. Is there a difference between the apps on opportunity versus sales? And the question, so just really quickly, no, there is no overall difference between them. So when I click the opportunities tabs, when I'm on the sales app, it shows basically the same. It's the same information. It's the same opportunities. We're not showing any. And when we hit the all list, we're gonna show the same amount of 33 opportunities. If we go to a different app, let's say we do service, opportunities might be on there. It's not. Marketing. When we go to this, we go to all, and we go to anything. I mean, it's all the same stuff. So the apps, generally the apps are just the tab configuration. You can do a little bit more with the apps to make them a bit crazy, but in general Salesforce sense, like these apps here, they're just a collection of tabs. Yeah, all of this is, so it was kind of, it's a good train of thought to have, but it doesn't happen for this. Everything is still the same. The apps are generally just a collection of tabs. Do you need answers like below this? Well, some of these answers are kind of complicated. Are stages only for opportunity? Are sales stages or sales pass process? I'm thinking this is also related to question number 2. Oh, we got more. I see that you can use the Kanban view in any object so that the lead typo believes to be on any object. Okay, gotcha. So we should have answered this question already. So tell me what the answer is. And the overall question is are stages only for the opportunity, and sales paths / processes only for the opportunity? Sub question, Kanban views. I can see you typing. Stages are for the opportunity, but each object can have a process. The word that I struggle with is a process. That's the word that I struggle with. The only reason I struggle with that is because if we look in the setup, let me type in process. We have lead process, sales process, support process, but we don't have processes for custom objects or anything like that. So I guess a more correct word would be, I wouldn't say path either. I guess process is the correct thing, but I don't want you to think these processes. I want you to think just like overall stages or statuses. On any object, I can go to any object, I can go to contact. If it ever loads. Great. Gotcha. Okay, just want to make sure about that. So I can go to the contacts object, create a field, call it stage because it doesn't exist already when we look here. Stage is nowhere to be found. Create a pick list, call it stage, and it's completely separate from the opportunity stages, and it can have completely different values than the opportunity stages, but it may be a process that the contacts need to go through. Maybe it's like the onboarding process, so that's what we use to bring them into our whatever we do, sit them down in a car. So yes, that is correct if we are making that distinction between the default processes that Salesforce creates versus just creating one on our own. So yes, very good. Yeah, the Kanban views, I'm pretty sure Kanbans can work on any pick list. Contacts. Yeah, Kanban doesn't care. Like as long as it's a pick list value, it'll Kanban. So yeah, and I'm using contacts again. What was I doing? Sweet. Okay. If I look at the opportunity object via a tab on the sales app versus the marketing app, I mean, looking at the same thing that's entered at the same time. You tell me. This question has been answered as well. And this one, when you have questions like this, there should be a way for you to figure it out. Yes, it is the same thing, so great. And then what you should do, basically what I did to show you the example was I went on the marketing app, I looked at, all the opportunities and all of I did a comparison to see if what they look like. So for a question like this, I would expect you to be able to solve this one. All right, this one's pretty specific, so don't answer it if you can't. Learning essential admin is aligning customizing pick list. So this module I had to create a region's global pick list, then a region's field on both the account and the lead object, but then I created a zone only on the account object for the purpose of field dependencies for controlling the region dependencies zone. So you've done field dependencies. Do you have any idea why I created a region field on both on both, but a zone on only one? Again, this is probably really specific. And what are you apologizing for? I just feel like it could be either region slash zone on both account and lead, or just region zone on the account object for this dependency. So one reasoning behind this. Oh wait, I see you typing. Hold on. You'll always get, you should be able to figure it out. Even if you shouldn't be able to figure it out, you'll always get, you should be able to figure it out. Don't feel bad if I tell you to figure it out. We had an employee who didn't last very long, but he was like under me, and I guess I had certain expectations for him. So oftentimes he'd ask me a question that I would think was trivial, I guess, and I'd be like, "I believe in you. Go and figure it out." And he didn't take too kindly to that after a while. But he also should have known like half the stuff he was asking me. So there's that. No. You should ask me. And then if I tell you to figure it out, that means that I know that you're capable of either figuring it out or you should have known it by that time. Don't type a bunch of letters at me. I always want you to ask me, even if you're confused about it. But there's a certain point where you should be able to figure something out versus not knowing it completely. Like the field dependencies. If you've never been exposed to field dependencies and dependent pick lists, then I won't fault you for not knowing that. But if you've kind of already gone through it, if you're like 5 years into Salesforce and you don't know how to do field dependencies, I'm gonna tell you to figure it out. Well, don't include the print. This is just extra stuff for me to read. Yeah, I don't want to read. Where to go? I don't want to read this. That could be gone. What else could be gone? I'm just giving you a hard time. All right, the global pick list. The reasoning behind this. One reason. Let me try to get here. Ooh, and also, if you haven't already, follow the trail mix. I don't remember if I sent it to you directly or not. Or you may like be way past all of this stuff, but I made this mix. I forgot if I sent it to you or not. But at least start from the top, roll through everything. Some of them still organizing a little bit. So this needs to be at the top for sure. And this needs to be here. Yeah. Okay, but just, yeah, roll through this trail mix if you haven't already. At least on my end, this is kind of like the order I'm trying to schedule people to follow things with. That one should probably be in this, but whatever. Doing beginner admin, a few different projects, intermediate admin, and then after you do intermediate admin, probably a super badge, and then career development, and stuff like that. Anyways, back to this. Custom objects. I guess the custom objects. It's probably this. Oh, why don't you have access? Did it rotate? Wait, it says share over here. Visible to everyone. What the heck? Why would that be private? Alright, you got a bunch of them done. Yeah, so after you finish intermediate admin, I think we're ready to like start exploring some entry level options, either through volunteering or like a junior position. And maybe even going for the admin certification. But okay, we're on this one, dependent pick lists. We have these pick list values for the region, I'm assuming. All right, create the pick list called zone. We have these pick lists for the zones. And where our region, we have these pick lists for our regions. And we are creating dependent pick lists for our region. Here's our regions. And then here are our zones for them. Okay, and now we are wondering why this is only getting done on the account versus the opportunity, correct? Correct. Okay. And we created the zone on the account, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. All right. It's not anything super complicated. One, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier with the qualification of the lead versus the versus when it's an account and a contact. So when you're working with a lead, you are gathering the certain set of information that you need to make sure that they're capable, or let's say capable of purchasing your product. In that gathering of information, you may not know everything about them that you need to know. And this is just one theory. Like really, they could have just forgotten to say create, or they didn't want you to be doubling up things on here. But generally, when you have a lead, you have less information and you know less about your customer until they get converted over to an account. And that's where you want to keep certain sets of information on. You sometimes want to keep certain sets of information that are important on the account versus on the lead. So, for instance, these zones, it may not be important when you're collecting and qualifying your lead to know the zone that they're in. It may not be important to the company at all. But when they're converted over to an account, it may become important for reporting purposes or forecasting, or just general understanding of the demographics of your customer, to have that information on the account. But you could have a zone on the lead. If you were getting that information from your lead, then you could have it on both. It's not the end of the world to not have them. But when you run a report, let's say you're running a report based on your accounts versus your lead, you'll have the option to bring in your zone on the account, but you won't have the option to bring it in on the lead, but it may not be important. Yeah, this one's kind of based on the company and the situation, but generally you kind of, some of these questions you may not be able to answer on your lead until they're an account. Like you may not know their zone until they're a full account and they've given you that information. Yes, I would say until you get to know them. But that's called qualification in business terms. Until they're qualified. Okay, this is dead. Does that make sense though? There's really no rhyme or reason, unless your business called for it specifically. They're like, oh well, we don't care about the zone on the lead. We only care about when the zone on the account. That happens all the time. So things like that. Skip 9. I'm gonna read it and get angry. All right, 10. Let's see what we got. Oh, this is the most important one. What the heck? How did we get down here? So when I was reading through all of this, I got hung up on like these four, because like these are super important. But this is the most important one, so I'd like to know how to read a question and pick out different data pieces, objects, fields, what have you. I like that. In order to complete a task without having to follow along the trailhead. How do I know when to use a formula or a lookup filter or a relationship without being told? I'm aware that this is where practice makes perfect and answers come in. Example, add a filter to the case contact name field so the user can only select contact related to the account selected by, okay. This, oh wait, so it said the end piece. So the account selected in the account name field. This ends up being a lookup filter with something along the lines of the contact ID equals it, yeah. Or something, and I was having trouble pulling these two pieces of info together from the question, namely in the ID portion. If you could walk through a question or two with me to point out what to pull from where, I think I'd really appreciate it. This also goes for formulas. Also, I understand what they're looking for, but knowing to use case ID instead of case name and account name is confusing. Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. A lot of this, so at least the first section, how do I know? A lot of it comes from experience, and understanding the terminology being used. So that's just like baseline what's gonna keep getting you until you get more exposure and start to remember and learn the terminology. So like add a filter to the case and case name fields so that it only selects the um, related accounts. Like some key things that are in here are the words like related, add a filter, and if it said the case name and the name field here, those are automatic tells for me that it's not going to be using a standard, or it's going to be using a lookup field and a lookup filter. Why? If we go here and we look at some of the different types of fields, so like pick list values, pick lists don't have any area or any options to filter something or change something or do anything that's related to another record or related to a contact, doing any type of filtering. Just by a pick list value by itself, it doesn't give you that option. Same thing with pretty much all of the other primitive types of field. When we look at them, they don't give you options to filter down, even though it has like data owner. It doesn't give you any options to filter down by a specific record. These fields that are in here are for like HIPAA compliance, so like data sensitivity, adding in help text descriptions, data owner. I actually don't know what this does. I'm not gonna lie. I think this is like blaming a person for what goes in here. These fields, this field is actually like brand new. Anyways, but I know that based on what they're saying in that specific instance, they're using words like related, filter, and referencing a specific object. So I know off the top of my head, it's going to be a lookup field, because when I edit a lookup field, I get the lookup filter options. If I show them, these are things that I can use to filter stuff by. That's just one example. Do you have any more examples where we can try to kind of walk through some keywords that I can pull out of stuff? And I can see if I can find any additional ones here. I need one that has like stuff to do, or maybe, yeah, I don't know anything off the top of my head. Let's see if we can kind of pull some from here. Okay, we can do that one. I think it's in here. Ooh. Ah. Okay. You made some more edits, some additional ones. All right, that works out. Thank you. So, I'm gonna go over some sections that I deliberately left open. Hyperlink. Or this one. I don't know why I really did that. All right, I'm gonna go over some items I deliberately left open for you to try to, I guess, figure out. There's no bet. Okay, so yeah, best practices. I'm reading what you're putting on. Yeah, that's true. Tasks could be used for this. You want me to do that now? Okay. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Okay, I can see how that could be confusing. Ish. Okay, some of the pieces that I deliberately left open was not telling you if you should use the task object or not. And the beauty of it is, I don't actually know what the best way of doing this is. Um, and you can use the tasks and you cannot. And that's where this statement comes in with there are better and worse ways of doing it. I want to find somebody that does it using the tasks. And the overall thing with this is the overall thing with this is like I want since I generally don't know how to do this perfectly. I want to see how other people come up with some things, but some areas that I left deliberately open for greater that give you some specific area of focus. We'll start with the other ones too. So title, description, uh, description, you know those are going to just be like open text fields because you can't do a pick list value for every different type of title that comes in. Priority, it's a pick list value because these are the only values that you want to be able to select. Same thing with status. Sure. All right, so you have all of these covered. What else is giving you trouble with it? Okay, easy tell with this one. Um, ooh, actually not an easy tell. I lied. I made this deceptively hard. I forgot. Um, kind of an easy tell. Whenever you see something that either says to um, whenever you're looking for either overall values or some type of completions or calculations, so you should automatically think it's either going to be a formula field or some type of, well, since it asks for a percentage, it's going to be either a number field, but these we're not looking to change that percentage field every time, go into every record and change the percentage field. So we want that to be automated somehow, either through a formula field, process builders, flow, somehow we want that to be automated. And we need to, since it's like an overall calculation, we need something that can group them all together. What'd you delete? I didn't see it. Yeah, you can use a flow to calculate these things. For overall percentage calculations. Sure. So that's one area. That's like an automatic tell for this is like doing overall calculations. Should have a percentage to outline. Should have an automated calculation of the percentage of the percentage. Come on. Of overall items completed. Hopefully that help clears it up. And the next one that's kind of, ooh, I like that sentence. I saw you delete that. Formulas are scary. This whole week, I'm gonna work on just a formula field video, like videos, just start to finish formula fields, because formula fields are scary to a lot of people, but once you get them, you like formula fields are the foundation to everything when you go to automation. Okay, something else that's deliberately left vague is a way of grouping the individual items together. This can be done a bunch of different ways. And I don't want to tell you how I'm thinking of doing it just because I want to see what you're doing, what you're going to do, and what anybody's going to do. But in the end, when you have I'm even going to say it. When you have a project, or when you have tasks to get done, you may have an overall project or goal to get it done. So it might be listed out. Your goal is to pass the admin exam. All right, and this is your project. And then underneath that project, you'll have individual items for it. Study, Trailhead, sign up for the exam, and I don't know. Yeah, it's the steps. I'm calling these items, tasks, whatever. Like, and I wanted to use the word items because the task object already exists, and I don't want to force people into using the task object. You know, steps. Yeah. So I need a way to group all of these together, or I need something that holds the overall project, and on that overall project it has the percentage complete. So you have an X for complete, and this would be, I don't know, 33.3%. Right? That's all I'm trying to get at. I'm literally just trying to create this in Salesforce. And then it might have a priority, like do this first, do this second, do this third. And then, you know, this is in progress, this is complete, and this is to do. And maybe if I lay this out in like an Excel, it might help out. But if I do lay it out in an Excel, it may also guide people down a specific path. And then the Kanban is just a list view. That's it. No, I wanna group them by the overall project. I wanna group them by a grouping. Because you could have multiple things to do, but some of them could be focused on one thing, and then some of them could be focused on another thing. I think yeah, I think you're thinking about it too hard. Like this is or maybe it's not, and what happens then is maybe it's not explained detailed enough. Um but it's not sub to dos, it's more what do we have to do to complete our project or our goal. So if our goal is to, I'll put goal here. If our goal is to pass the admin exam, then these are the items, or these are the steps that we have to do. We have to study for the exam on Trailhead. We have to sign up for the exam and pass the exam. These bullet points are technically this object here that we're using to control. Then if you feel like you would use task, then use task. Yeah, we'd go on the home page. I'm looking at something else. Okay. All right. You want to do a to-do list on the home page that had the fields for the to-dos. Or you just deleted like the whole thing. The whole thing just went away. No, it didn't go away. All right. Hold on. Sure. I'm gonna say sure to that. The last three things you just said. It can go on the homepage. It can go wherever you want it to go. But right now, I need this to be created somehow. I need to. It's like I'm gonna give you an Excel like this. Or no, I'm gonna give you a CSV, not an Excel. I might give you an Excel. And it's gonna have all the fields on it. Gonna have title, status, description, priority, and everything. And for your next project, I'm gonna say, All right. Oh no, and the goal. The goal is going to be data load. That's going to be pretty funny. Data load items, right? And it's going to say convert CSV to, or no, Excel to CSV, download, set data loader. So project choose data loader. Task tracking object. All right, all of these are going to be to-do status because I want you to insert them all into the system. Description can be whatever, and the priority is going to be like this. This is the order you need to follow, and then your goal is going to be, should technically be the same for all of them. You're going to data load all of the items. So I'm gonna give you something similar to this, and I'm gonna say here, take this and insert it into your org and work on it, you know? So when you insert this, this can be on the task object, this can be on any object. You could even create a new object for yourself as long as it contains these necessary fields. It has something that you can group them all together, because I can start off, you know, this is goal number 1, but we can do another one. Hold on, I got a list of projects. I'm on my phone. 1 second. Oh, got it. All right. The next one is going to be like a job search, or we can even do the admin exam, the one that we just had. So our overall goal is going to be to pass the admin exam. We are going to insert in study Trailhead, sign up for exam, take exam, or, you know, get sleep. And you do it in this order. This is your goal. So now your goal is here to group the things together, because if these were mixed up, let's say this is here, and we didn't have a goal, none of this would make sense. Or it's kind of hard to make sense, like, why is this here and it has a 1, and like I'm confused on what I'm supposed to be doing. So if you have the goals here, you know that, okay, well this is for this particular one. This kind of goes with this set versus the other set of the data loading the items. Does that make sense? Or is this just going too far into what these things are going to be used for? That's fine. But if you have no idea how to do this one, where's the original one go? The to-do list. Don't think about it too hard. Just say that you need to, if I said you need to track 3 things inside of Salesforce, like three tasks that you need to do for your, or I don't want to say tasks, but 3 items that you want to do for the next week. where are you gonna put them inside of Salesforce? Then do it. If that makes sense to you, then do it. Yes, yes. There you go. Remember this. Literally, you can do it any way you want, as long as it makes sense, as long as it works. Cool. Just make it. It doesn't have to be perfect in the beginning, and you'll definitely know when it's wrong. Because when I give you something like this, and it doesn't work, you'll know it's wrong, and you'll have to do it again. And that's how you learn. Because it may be wrong now, but it may be right. What you're building that was wrong today may be right tomorrow. There you go. All right. Did that answer this question? Some of this stuff just comes, or a lot of it, just comes from experience. You're never gonna know it all, and you just start guessing after a certain point, and your guesses get better with more experience. Certain like you knew these, which was you're past like stage one. You knew these weren't going to be anything random. The ones that are deliberately left confusing, like this and this, you can kind of guess at what they're supposed to be, but you don't know if you're right or not, and that's fine. Same thing, like just reading through these. There's no way. I won't say there's no way, but a lot of times it just comes with experience to know what's the best to use, what's the best thing to use or not. I'm trying to look for some other like, and you'll pick up on like keywords. Let's do here. Well, this already tells you validation rule. Yeah, that's fine. I probably gotta go to bed too. I should be around all this week, so I'm off. And the one thing I'm gonna be working on, like all this week, is a start to finish. What the heck are formula fields? Um, yeah, just like everything you need to know about formula fields to be comfortable with them. For you, uh, get me or try to figure out like if you once again like make a list like this whenever you have questions on stuff, and then just go for it with the project. Like don't have analysis paralysis or anything like that. Like, you'll know if it's wrong. Like I'll let you know if it's wrong. My vacation is Salesforce. I see. I see your text. I like this. Dun dun dun. All right, dude.